Hello, I'm Dr. Dawn Harper. Welcome back to the Stay Sure Wellbeing YouTube channel. And today I thought I'd answer some of your questions regarding airline travel. We've just heard that BA and EasyJet are starting to operate domestic flights. And as lockdown is eased, then more of us might be thinking about that holiday that we've so far missed out on this year. But I think it's fair to say that your travel through the airport and on an aircraft are going to look quite different for the foreseeable future, and you may well want to check a few details with your airline before you fly. You may find that your flight might be going from a different terminal as the airports try to disperse people so that they don't have large groups of people in one area. So do check that first and make sure that you allow plenty of time for your travel through the airport. When you get to the airport, you will almost certainly notice that there will be more hand washing stations, more hand sanitizer, and do make sure that you use those. As we're all going out and about more, now is the time to be more fastidious about hand washing, not less. You are also likely to be checked for your temperature, so expect that, and make sure that you have a way of paying for things with contactless payments. Fewer people are accepting cash these days because cash, of course, goes from hand to hand and is a perfect way for the virus to be spread about. So check what facilities will be available for purchasing food and drink at the airport and on the aircraft before you leave, and whether or not you can take your own food with you. So I thought I'd answer some of your frequently asked questions regarding air travel going forward. So firstly, if I have a temperature, will I be allowed to travel? No is the simple answer. Even if you're absolutely convinced that it's just a cold and you're sure it's not coronavirus, I'm afraid even if you've tested positive for coronavirus in the past, we still don't yet know for sure whether you could get it again. So if you have a fever, you will be turned away. So certainly, probably worth checking your temperature yourself before you get to the airport, because they will almost certainly check it for you when you get there. A lot of you are asking about insurance, and it really is worthwhile now checking the small print of your insurance policy and make sure that you are covered for the destination that you are travelling to. There will be certain areas that the Foreign Office, for example, may advise against travelling to, and your insurance will most certainly not cover any such travel. So make sure that you check your insurance documentation really thoroughly before you travel. I usually have assistance at the airport. Will this still be available? It may well be, but this is something that you certainly need to check with each individual airport. If there is assistance, you will almost certainly need to book that well in advance. The people assisting you are likely to be wearing masks and gloves, but it may not be available in the same way. So do check that with the airport that you're travelling through. And similarly, actually, a lot of people asking about whether or not you'll be able to have help lifting bags into the overhead lockers if you're finding that quite tricky. That may not be available because understandably flight attendants may not want to be handling lots of people's different bags, and so it's worth checking that, and I would probably err on the side of caution and suggest that you take a very small piece of hand luggage and put everything else in the hold to avoid the need for that kind of assistance. Will I still be able to use the toilet on the aircraft? Yes, I'm sure you will, but probably not by just wandering up and queuing outside. We've all been in that situation where there's a sort of huddle of people around the toilet and obviously in very close proximity. So it may well be that the systems will be that you need to call the flight attendant who will tell you when you can go and use the toilet facilities. And I would actually take some cleaning wipes with you in your hand luggage so that you can wipe surfaces down thoroughly before and after use. And of course, make sure you wash your hands. Will I have to wear a face covering? Yes, you will wear a face covering in the airport and on the aircraft. BA and EasyJet suggest that you replace that covering every 4 hours. So make sure that you take plenty for your time each side in the airports and for your flight, and allow, of course, for any delays. You may find that some airlines will provide you with face coverings, but if you have them, please take them with you. Anyone over the age of 6 is required to wear a face covering while travelling through an airport and on an aircraft, unless you have a medical reason for not doing so. And do check with your airline. You may well need a letter from your doctor confirming that that's the case for you, and your doctor may charge for that. That's not an NHS service, so just check whether there's a charge for that, and make sure that you get that documentation before you fly if needed. Will I be at increased risk on an aircraft because of the circulating air? Actually, BA and EasyJet are using what they call an HEPA technology, which is similar to that used in hospitals, so that you're not at increased risk. And that's very important. We know that some people with coronavirus can transmit the infection when they have no symptoms. And we think that it's also possible, if you are incubating the virus, to transmit it for a couple of days before you develop symptoms. So it is perfectly possible for somebody on your flight to unwittingly be transmitting the virus, and that's why they need to use these filtration systems to make sure that the air is kept clean for you. A few of you asking about cleaning of airplanes. Now, of course, planes have always been cleared through between flights, but there will be increasing detail and attention to making sure that planes are deep cleaned. I would recommend, I don't have any plans to fly in the near future, but if I do, I will make sure that I take obviously my face coverings, but also hand sanitizer in my bag, and I'll probably also take gloves, which I will change fairly regularly. I know a lot of you are feeling more anxious about travelling and going out and about, and I understand that. And I think we are all going to be more mindful. If you are worried about travelling, you may well choose to go away in this country in the first instance. But I think it's really important that you check in advance what all the rules and regulations are for the airports that you're travelling to and from, and on the aircraft with your airline, so that you know what to expect. Allow plenty of time, plan in advance. As I say, make sure that you've got that insurance. And I think it's a case of being really sensible when we're out and about. Keep that 2 metre distance wherever you possibly can. I know there's a lot of debate about reducing the social distancing guidelines to 1 metre, but we know that if you are in contact or close by to somebody with coronavirus, if you are 2 metres away from them, your chances of catching the virus from them is 1.3%. So it's a low percentage if you're 2 metres away. If you reduce that to 1 metre, your risk of contracting the virus goes up tenfold to 13%. So for me, whatever the guidelines change to for the moment, I will always try to maintain that 2 metre social distance, because I think the social distancing, wearing of face coverings and hand washing or hand sanitising are absolutely crucial in trying to make sure that we don't get a second wave of this virus. From the 8th of June, anybody entering the UK is being asked to self-isolate and go into quarantine. So really important that you factor that in to any annual leave that you're planning to book, because that's been constantly looked at and it may change, but at the moment those are the guidelines, and we're told that you will be checked up upon, so important that you stick to those rules. Well, that's it for this little video on air travel. I'll be back very soon. Please do, as always, let me know if there's topics that you'd like me to cover on this channel, because we're really keen that this is a useful resource for you. So whatever you want to discuss, please just send us a note, drop us an email, and we will endeavour to cover all those subjects that matter to you. But until then, stay safe and stay well.